Hi, I'm Rick Gardner, here today with Leanne Del Carpio, and today's topic is the role of ritual for endings and new beginnings. You know, Leanne, for generations, right, humans have used rituals to do three basic things: make meaning, celebrate different stages of life, or to mark very specific transitions. So examples of these might be births, deaths, coming of age, rituals, marriage, right? Good examples. Entering an organization, you know, induction into fraternities or sororities, or orientation into a business, or joining the military, for example. These would all be very specific rites of passage, right, into a particular stage in life. However, what Leanne and I have noticed is we very rarely think about more common opportunities to use rituals in marking these periods of transitions. So they could be celebrating other types of milestones, like a commitment to live in a different way. Like, I'm going to eat a healthier lifestyle. I'm going to become vegan. Or, you know, I want to be more purposeful in my engagement of people in the community that I meet, right? Just a simple commitment like that. Or honoring a characteristic of who we are. For example, I want to be very intentional about being more compassionate. And I feel like I'm a compassionate person, but I need to show that and embody that in the day I move through my world, both personally and professionally. Yeah. Or it could be letting go of something that no longer serves us. I'm a people pleaser, and it's working against me, it's draining me. And so I need to honor myself and not be as much of a people pleaser, and to, you know, gather myself. You know? Another example might be I'm a perfectionist, right? To dot every I and cross every T. And that can be exhausting at times, right? So I have to let go of being a perfectionist and pursue excellence rather than perfection. Right. As an example. Okay. And so all of these, you know, are really important. And so what, you know, I think we want you to take away from this is really, where are some of these areas where you can practice these lesser known rites of passage or milestones?
Yeah, and the thing is, we might make promises to ourselves in each of these categories that you just identified, Rick. Like, okay, my intention, and this can happen at New Year's time when we're trying to do New Year's intentions, or some other time at the end of maybe one role and the beginning of a new role, or when you leave one organization, go to another organization. Those are some natural markers, right, of change. And oftentimes those times are ripe for reflection, and then the promises we make to ourselves. But what we're missing out on is taking advantage of those times as a true rite of passage. And what I would say is rites of passage and ceremonies have been used for centuries across cultures because they are a significantly powerful and safe space for allowing transformation to occur. And actually, when you look at the neuroscience of change, it also helps lay down new neural networks, right? Because it's actually marking a significant transition. And what happens is that we're laying down new neural networks that are paving the way for who we are becoming, right? And what I learned from Dr. Alberto Villoldo, who was a medical anthropologist and has studied with a lot of indigenous societies, but specifically those of the Andes, and he would look at the power of a rite of passage. And what I learned from him is that in any kind of rite of passage, there's a crossing of a line. And if you think about it, it's a very intentionally powerful action. When you say, this is the line that I'm crossing, and behind this line, right, I am leaving behind, I am letting die, I am releasing an old way of being or an old identity. And as I cross this line, right, I am embracing a new way of being, a new kind of identity. Now, in something like a graduation or the induction into an honor society, or you mentioned the military earlier, they literally have ceremony to almost show that you're kind of crossing from one phase to another. Even like the moving of the tassel on the graduation hat kind of symbolizes that. But we can recreate that in our own lives and our own leadership, because if we don't, oftentimes we might make this promise to ourselves that we're acting in a new way or we're embracing a new way of being. but we don't make it ceremonial and really physically draw that line and state that in front of others in our community around us who can hold us accountable, by the way. And if we don't, you can find somebody dragging their, childhood, adolescent self straight into their, not just their college years, but their 20s, and they're still living at home, and, they're starting to, act from more of that adolescent place when they really should have made an intentional, like, this is what I'm leaving behind and here's what I'm embracing. Another role that you comically see in a lot of Hollywood films is this idea of the mother who never really lets go of her role of mothering. And, to the degree that she's over mothering and, still calling her baby boy on his birthday, kind of being part of the marriage of her son, and becoming the mother-in-law that nobody wants, right? These are the kinds of things that can happen when we don't intentionally be very clear on what is we are letting die and what we are embracing.
And I love this notion of the neuroscience of it all and the habits, because it's one thing to think about, I should do this, or it's like I'm intending on doing this, and it's not just your mind, but it's getting your body conditioned to take on this new space, right? So it's leaving one space behind, moving into new space, and creating these conditions, these neural pathways that are literally reforming habits in your mind and habits in your ways of being that create the new you that enables you to be this person that you've become, right? This commitment that you've made. And rituals are a nice way to begin that process and to mark the end of another one. So, Leanne, we always are big on practical applications. So maybe you could give viewers one example of what a rite of passage might look like for them.
Absolutely. And this is actually something I did recently with a cohort of leaders where we concluded a year long of group coaching together. And we really decided at the end of our journey together to kind of take stock of not only what they had learned along the way in this leadership development program and the group coaching we did together, but also who they're becoming and who they are committed to being, leaving this experience outside of the container of the regular group coaching. And, this is where I think when we look at a lot of traditions around the world, we can understand the power of a ceremony like a fire ceremony, right? We used to gather as humans around fires to talk story with one another, as they say in Hawaii, to celebrate births and deaths and that sort of thing. And so while we didn't light a candle for this, we kind of symbolically said, let's imagine that as we go through our final group coaching session together, have each person kind of go around and share with one another, all right, you've had this, and this doesn't have to be like in a leadership development experience that you have. It could be at the end of a long project that a team is going through. It could be at the end of a really trying journey where a team has pushed out a new product and you're just kind of exhausted and you want to say, good, you know what? We've accomplished so much, but what's our intent as we go forward? So you could use this in a variety of different ways. But we said, let's imagine, number one, let's state our intent, and every person go around the room and state, here's my intent of what I'm ready to release. I'm kind of like placing metaphorically into the fire, like letting that kind of burn away, and what I'm ready to embrace. So what you're ready to release, what you're ready to embrace. And I do this, by the way, with my one-on-one executive coaching clients. It's a really good practice to do personally on a regular cadence, at least once a year. It doesn't have to be around the New Year's, but just be intentional about what you're kind of letting die and put that into the fire, truly or metaphorically, right? And then secondly, after you've done that, really kind of create a different kind of zone where you're stepping out of the day-to-day business environment and you've just slowed down to say, let's listen deeply to one another. So state the intent, what you're ready to release and embrace, let it kind of have a moment of reflection. Then third, actually give everybody a moment to write down who you are becoming. How will we know you in this new kind of way of being? And then kind of actually next step is to speak it out loud. So I am becoming that courageous leader. I've been maybe the one who's been very thoughtful, and maybe you've known me to be very cautious and just making this up. The one who's going to, have an Excel spreadsheet with lots of contingency plans. But now I'm really making the commitment, not to just myself, but to all of you and the team, to be courageously trying on new experiments more often. So, and then there's kind of a mutual celebration at the end. It is this very act of being intentional and reflective releasing and embracing and then celebrating together. That's the stuff of rites of passage and ceremonies since time immemorial. But by not embracing this, we actually risk, again, dragging an old identity into the future and then becoming kind of a victim of our old ways of programming ourselves. In many ways, neuroscientists say that we are the product of the way that we have hardwired ourselves into a pretty finite signature, oftentimes by the age 35 or so. And for those of us a little bit older than that, we've been doing it longer. So use this kind of rite of passage to engage a little bit more neuroplasticity in your brain and evolve into a new beginning.
Yeah. So we hope you've enjoyed this video today, and we would encourage you to think about what are some rituals you can create for yourself using these same principles Lan has just articulated, and decide even the little small commitments you're making to yourself, how can you make them more ritualistic and purposeful, as you move through your days, your weeks, your years, to become the better version of yourself that we all want you to do, and what, in terms of our work with all leaders, what we encourage others to do, to step into that better version of themselves and use the power of rituals to do so. So thanks very much for watching, and we hope you've enjoyed it.
Hi, thanks for watching this video between the two of us. The energy and the exchange that you saw in this video is indicative of the collaborative work we do together in many different arenas. When we're not recording videos just like this, you can find us leading executive offsites, facilitating senior executive forums, or other leadership events, all designed to help raise consciousness, transform uncertainty, and help you step into your full potential. So thanks again for watching. If you'd like to find more exclusive content just like this, I'd invite you to join the Limitless Actualization community. It's free to join, and when you do join, you'll gain more access to content just like this, rich in expansive thoughts and application. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you inside of the Limitless Actualization community.